Hey, what is up guys? This is Nishi from MST.TV here, back with another Market Watch episode, and of course today we are talking about some of the after effects of the most recent ban list and how they have affected the market. The ban list is probably the single thing that warps cards prices the most, that alongside new set releases, and so whenever it drops we should expect to see a ton of price fluctuations based on what is going to be good this upcoming format. Now generally, we are going to talk about cards that are trending up for things that were either released by the list or not touched at all. With decks that were just hit, it'll usually take a bit longer to see how the prices will adjust because a lot of people would rather hold on to the cards rather than sell them at a loss. So for today, we're going to cover some of the more hyped up cards following this ban list, and then in a couple of days we are also going to cover some sleeper picks or lesser known cards that players are paying attention to for this upcoming format. Let's get started. So first up, we're taking a look at Denglong, first of the Yang Zing. It seems like with each ban list we get an unexpected card peeled off the list that gets players really excited, and this time around that card is Denglong. This is a crazy level 5 tuner synchro that is generic with some crazy effects. Now on summon it lets you search for any Yang Zing card. For those of you that don't know, there is a counter trap called 9 Pillars of the Yang Zing. That is basically an Omnigate that shuffles the card you negate back into the deck and then also destroys a Yang Zing monster that you control. It also lets you dump a worm from your deck to the graveyard and then change this card's level to the level of that sent monster. And finally, if this card leaves the field, you get to special summon any Yang Zing monster from your deck. So actually this card has 3 really amazing effects. I think it's more of just a question of which deck is actually going to be able to abuse this card in 2023. I think that the most obvious one is Sword Soul. You can actually access Denglong pretty easily thanks to the Tenyi monsters, but I also believe that there might be a case for this card to be used in Dinosaurs with the new support from Wild Survivors, or in Synchron decks after the release of Assault Synchron in Battles of Legend. Either way, this card was certainly an unexpected one to peel off of the list. The card was down at $5 per copy prior to the list and immediately shot up to between $25 and $30 after the list came out, but it has since then settled back down to around the $20 mark. Super cool to see the card back in the format, though only time will tell if the card is actually going to be useful or meta relevant. Keep in mind that with Battles of Legend coming out in just over a month, there may be a chance that Denglong could be reprinted in there. It might make sense then to just keep 1 copy for yourself if you are planning on using it in something, and then selling the rest off into the ban list hype. The next card I want to take a look at is Kashtira Fener. So Kashtira was one of the decks that was hit harder on the last list, with number 89 being banned, Arise Heart being limited, and Unicorn being semi-limited. I'm still not sure why there wasn't a hit to Birth, but I guess the deck losing 3 of its most powerful cards from the extra deck was a big enough hit. One card that very notably wasn't hit was Kashtira Fener. This is of course a very splashable card, kind of like the new version of Pankratops. It's a free special summon that can search for itself, and it banishes a card when it attacks or your opponent activates a monster effect. This card is really crazy, and over in the OCG, there was a period where this card was being splashed into absolutely everything because it provided free value and put a lot of pressure on your opponent. Fener was falling in price because a lot of people thought that this card was going to get hit on this ban list. I think that before the list, Ultra Feners were around $25, while the Ultimate Rares were between $45 and $50. Now, however, that the list is out, we know that the card is going to be playable for at least this upcoming format, and there's a good chance that a lot of decks will splash the card into their side decks or even main decks, and so the prices have started to shoot back up. We now have the Ultras at $40 each, while the Ultimate Rares are between $60 and $65. Personally, I think that if you want to play competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! This format, this is a card that you guys should own. I think a lot of decks might turn to this in the side deck just because of how strong and splashable it is. That being said, the card isn't expected to be reprinted until the 2023 Megatins, so the card will probably maintain close to its current price point for at least the next couple of months. It's certainly possible that eventually this card will get hit on an upcoming ban list, but whether or not you guys should hold on to the card now or offload them into this ban list hype probably depends on how much play you guys expect this card will see this upcoming format. Up next, let's talk a little bit about Sprite Blue. So one of the surprising things about this ban list was how little Sprite was actually affected. The only direct hit to Sprite was the semi-limiting of Starter, which feels like more of just a slap on the wrist than an actual hit, especially considering how good Sprite has been over the last couple of formats. Now technically there were a couple of other hits, depending on the variant that you were playing. Gamma being limited means that the deck can't really play the emergency teleport and Gamma package anymore, while the semi-limiting of Fountain I guess technically might be a hit to Runic Sprite, though I feel like those builds did only play 2 Fountain anyways. But I feel like overall, Sprite came out of the ban list pretty okay, and with decks like Tri-Brigade Sprite and Evil Twin Runic Sprite basically remaining untouched, those variants have a very strong chance to do well this upcoming format. It seems like a lot of players think the same, as both versions of Sprite Blue have jumped up in price. Now leading up to the ban list, I think people assumed that sprites were going to be hit harder, so we saw prices tank before. Secret Blues were down at $15 to $17, they are now back up to $30 each, and then Alti Blues were down at $30, they are already back up to $40. So I know I talk a lot about Power of the Elements cards being reprinted in the 2023 Megatons, and yes, technically, they weren't on the list of sets that were going to be reprinted, but they are a core set that came out before Darkwing Blast, and Darkwing Blast is included in that reprint range, right? So for me, I kind of think that they'll either be in the Megatons or something before that, like Battles of Legend. The point I'm trying to make is that we should expect these Power of the Elements cards to be reprinted by September at the latest. So if you do see yourself playing Sprite this upcoming format, or potentially using it in any other deck, keep the set for yourself to use just in case, but if you guys do have extras that you're not really going to use at all, it probably makes a lot more sense to dump yours off into this post-ban list hype. Okay guys, before we continue, I do want to remind everyone to check out MST.TV. We have the exclusive MST.TV sleeves in a ton of different colors. My favorite's the purple, but the reds and oranges have been really popular as well. We also have the newly released Alti Ego sleeves, designed by Tombox himself. These sleeves look absolutely amazing, the colors really pop out, and they're perfect for sleeving up your extra deck. Aside from that, we have a ton of other things. Our oversleeves are perfect for protecting your Alti Ego sleeves or whatever other nice sleeves you have. Our cloth playmats are super smooth, with 2023 having the Infinite MST logo in the background. We have black sleeves, white sleeves, the NFT sleeves for your binders so that people will stop bugging you for cards, and dividers to help you sort out your collection. So whether you're a player, vendor, or a collector, you are sure to find something that you will need over at MSTmerch.com. So on to the next card. It is of course Sky Striker Mobilizing Gauge, so I feel like this shouldn't have been a surprise for anyone to see go from 1 to 2. It has that alternate art printing coming out in Battles of Legend, and it probably wouldn't have been so great if the new Chase card from an upcoming set were limited to 1. Of course, Sky Strikers remain a favorite deck for a lot of players. I know several people at my locals that have Sky Strikers in max rarity with all of the LT links and everything, and all of them swear that they're never going to let go of the cards. Of course, some players think that Engage going to 2 means that the deck will be viable once again, but I'm not entirely convinced that that's the case. Pearly is still going to be reasonably good this format, and with Noir still being really scary, as well as players still needing to out Kashtira boards with just a Rise Heart set 4, I think that Kaijus and Santa Claus are still going to be seeing play this format, so Sky Strikers will struggle against those meta strategies. However, a lot of people still want to pick up Secret Engages, since they are the original highest rarity, and the highest rarity printing of the card for right now. There are 2 different secret rare printings. The original is from Dark Saviors, where the first deads are 20 and the unlimiteds are 15. Also, there is a Battles of Legend secret rare printing, which is around $13 to $15. Of course, the card also has 2 ultra rare printings. Those are like between $1 or $2 each for right now. So overall, I'm not sold on Sky Strikers. I don't really think that they're going to be that viable. What I'm thinking more about is Sky Strikers being used as sort of an engine. There was a time where people would play 3 Engage, 1 Hornet Drones, and 1 Afterburners as an engine to get like that extra body or pop out, and Engage can potentially draw you a card in the right situation as well. So I think that that might pop up again somewhere. But even if you want to grab the cards to have as that engine available, I would probably recommend just grabbing the Ultras, since you can grab a set of Engages for like $5 and stay away from the secret rares for a little while, see what rarity they are reprinted in the upcoming Battles of Legend set, and if they are more accessible, that should continue to drive the price further down so that you can grab them then. A couple of other important cards for us to take note of, the first one being the Herald of Orange Light. So this card was limited in the Ishizu tier format as the deck abused Herald of Orange Light, with Keldo, Mudora, Kelbeck, and Agido getting those key cards into the graveyard while also providing generic monster effect negation. Orange Light was limited to 1, but has just been peeled off to 2. Now, I'm not too convinced that this is going to do much meta-wise. I think Tom thinks that this is going to actually be something that makes Drytron a lot more viable. Of course, without Gamma in the format, maybe there's a chance that some deck will have to turn to Orange Light if they're able to run other fairy monsters alongside it in order to have access to that monster effect negation. Who knows? Anyways, it is the 2 holo versions of Orange Light that have gone up in price. Now, obviously, with the ulti, these were at $150 each in tier format. They went down to like $50 after the card was limited, but the card has actually been on a steady incline ever since then, where it's now sitting at $75 per copy. The other notable printing is the super rare from the OTS tournament pack, which was only $1 or $2 when it was limited to 1, but now they are up to $4 to $5 each. Keep in mind though that Orange Light is also a legal card in Edison format, which is really popular, and I think there's a Lightsworn deck that uses it, the one that plays triple Christia and Soul with Purity and Light, so that might be another reason that players are actually actively looking to pick up copies of Orange Light. Up to you guys, and if you guys want to bling out your copies or not, but if you guys are okay with playing the lower rarities, you should still be able to grab a set of the commons or rares. Those are just $1 or so each, so there is a good budget alternative available. Another card that might be easy to overlook is Spiral Quick Fix. This is a card that just went from being limited to unlimited, but I feel like it's more of a cleanup than anything else. Now, don't get me wrong, Quick Fix is a really good card. Neither of its effects are once per turn, and it simply lets you search for a Spiral card whenever it's summoned. There have been 2 times in Yu-Gi-Oh history where Spiral was a top tier deck, but unfortunately it seems unlikely that there is going to be a third. Actually, the only card currently hit for the Spiral theme is Spiral Master Plan, as Resort, Drone, and Quick Fix are now all off the list. However, it was Master Plan that I think was the really broken card, searching for a ton of different things every single turn. Now, ultimately, I do think it's unlikely that Spiral will ever be top tier again, but then again, I think I said that after Spiral was hit the first time around. Spiral is a deck that a lot of players do like, so maybe someone will try to make it work. Admittedly, Quick Fix to 3 is a big consistency boost, and you can even machine dupe on Quick Fix to get a couple of searches as well. Because of this, Quick Fix as a super rare was only $1, but it's now up to a solid $4 or $5 each for the only holo printing, which came out way back in OTS Tournament Pack 5. I don't know, Spiral format was never really fun. Like, I never hear people say, hey, let's go back and replay Spiral mirror matches, so the chances of people wanting to go back and play a Spiral Time Wizard format event seems really low, right? So to me, there's not too much of a reason to go and pick this card up. If anything, I think that you guys should make note of the spike and look to offload it if you can find someone who's wanting to pick it up, because I really don't see the card being relevant anytime within the next few years. And finally, there's one last card for us to talk about. It is Ringo Worm, the dragon guarding the 100 apples. Now, Ringo Worm is a fairly new card, just coming out in Cyberstorm Access as an ultra rare, and it's one of the best cards to come out of the set. It's a level 2 tuner that you can summon from hand if you have a non-effect monster on the field, and if you synchro summon this turn, you can banish it from your graveyard to special summon a level 2 light token that can function as either a tuner or a non-tuner. So this card could be useful in a couple of different decks this upcoming format. The 2 that I'm thinking of are Sword Soul, which went untouched this list, and Chaos Synchrons, a deck that gets a big boost with the release of Assault Synchron in Battles of Legend in just over a month. Now, early on, this card wasn't too expensive. Obviously, the release price was high, but then it started to drop towards $11 or $12. It jumped back to $14, fell back down again, and now it's back up to $17 per copy. Obviously, as a new card, the chances of it getting reprinted anytime soon are pretty low. It shouldn't be reprinted until sometime in 2024. For now, it does depend on how players think the card will perform here in the TCG. Over in the OCG, this card was very meta relevant, and with the Adventurer token package still untouched here in the TCG, I think it's possible that Adventurer token Synchrons could be a solid strategy here as well. Only time is going to tell though. For now, I don't recommend picking this up at the full $17 because it's still a somewhat inflated price as a reaction to the ban list. I would grab them at like $12 to $13 in cash, maybe $15 in trades right now as well. It's not a bad card to slowly grab copies of over the next couple of weeks, just in case it starts to see a lot of meta play. Alright guys, that is all I have for today. Some of these price fluctuations you guys probably will have already seen from just paying attention to the market and being online in general, but there's some other cards that are moving around that we're going to cover on Wednesday this week, things that maybe are a bit more low-key that you haven't noticed or seen yet, so make sure that you guys stay tuned and check that one out. Anyways, guys, if you did enjoy today's Market Watch, please make sure that you let me know by hitting that thumbs up button. Also, make sure you leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you guys think about the cards we talked about and what other cards are trending on the market as well. Also, if you haven't already, do make sure that you guys hit that subscribe button to get all of the latest and greatest videos from both Tombox and myself. And until next time, guys, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV.